Hello everybody. So in this video I'll show you how I ran Linux on Microsoft Excel. Microsoft Excel is a very powerful suite and you can do lots of things in it. Accountants love it. Software engineering students despise it because universities hate their software engineering students and force them to do Excel assignments. True story. But anyway, enthusiasts do all sorts of freaky stuff in Excel, and this project is just an excuse for me to make a funny video. Originally, NSG650 made that thing, and he tweeted about it. I get pretty excited, so I contacted him about it, and he then published the source code. Unfortunately, upon closer inspection I realized his version was pretty bare bones, only printing the output, and I thought it'd make a pretty lame video, so ultimately I decided to chip in and sort of finish the project for him, making it interactive. Took me a couple hours, but I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I don't want to take long, so let's just see it in action, and then I'll explain how it works. Alright, so to run it, it's simple enough. Just open the Excel spreadsheet. It's not an ordinary spreadsheet, as you can probably tell by the file name already. It's a spreadsheet full of macros. I can smell your fear. Don't worry, there is no macro virus in here. These times are long over. Though you should probably keep an eye out, just in case. So you open that file, and whoa! This is Linux running in Microsoft Excel. Unbelievable. Let me make this a little more viewable by scaling the interface up. There we go. If the screen overflows, it just resets the A column. So this is the reason there isn't all that extra boot information at the beginning we used to have when it wasn't scaled up. The rules are simple. There are no rules, it's Linux. But jokes aside, the entire A column is reserved for the terminal output. But where do you run the Linux commands? Good question. I reserved the C2 cell specifically for the terminal input. That's where you run them. You can do all the terminal basics in that power cell. Run the directory listing, switch the directories, create files, even enter and exit Vim. The only critical mistake you can make is entering the insert mode in Vim. Naturally, you'd need to press escape to get back out, but there is so far no way to input that in the cell. I mean, you can technically create magic sequences that translate to special keys, but I didn't bother to implement that. It's a simple switch case statement in the handler function. But anyway, you can even run scripts, even though I kind of failed to do that. I think because I couldn't input the new line after the shebang. So it's still pretty raw. There are lots of things you can't do, but from here on out it's just tedious work of implementing different magic sequences, essentially converting input from an Excel cell to the Linux std in. Not a fan of tedious work. Anyway, let's just say I tried to run fetch, even though it's a bash script and there is no bash here. Hope dies last. Spoiler, it did not work. And moreover, it crashed the macro a couple times I tried. I guess the coolest tedious thing you can implement is the ASCII escape sequences support, so that you could beautify the output. But again, it's pretty annoying to implement. So yeah, this is Linux running in Microsoft Excel. What's the catch? Well, you could consider it cheating, because it's not Linux running in native Excel formulas. If you do want to implement Linux in pure Excel formulas, I'm so sorry for you, my friend, but be my guest. In reality, Linux is running in a separate library that's loaded into Excel via the VBA macro. Excel here basically acts as the I/O interface. The library we're using is mini-rv32, which is the tiniest RISC-V emulator that fits inside a C header. I don't really want to go in depth into the technicalities neither of the VBA macro nor the library. I'll try to explain in simple terms. Basically, an emulator allows you to step tick by tick with a function, and each tick there is an event loop that's running. Every tick, essentially a moment in time you choose, you get to send input into the emulator and receive output from it. The VBA macro runs 2 to the power of 17 ticks in the emulator at the very beginning, and every time input is received. I just picked that number because I think number 17 is cool, and it was somewhat the golden middle between the macro freezing Excel entirely and having enough time for the emulator to run an average command and return the output from it. So that's how the VBA script works essentially. The library is a little more tricky to explain in simple terms, but the event loop is located in it, and the CSR read and write functions are invoked every tick. So we get to process input and send the output with the functions exported from the DLL. They're then imported and used accordingly in the VBA script. It's just an orchestra, really. That's one of the more weird and satisfying projects I have worked on since the start of my channel. I can't thank NSG650 enough for sharing the initial source code. This wouldn't have been possible without him. He's a cool guy, check him out. I'm gonna leave both the source code and the compiled library along with a macro sheet in the description below, so you can try it out for yourself. Tweet the coolest stuff you can execute in that spreadsheet at me. I'm Endermanch on Twitter. I'll retweet the craziest stuff you guys execute. I believe collectively you can do much more than me in such a stripped down Linux version. And I'm sorry if my voice is kind of annoying right now. I'm currently sick and my nose is stuffed. I'm trying my best to voice things over right now. Thanks for watching and take care.